The International Military Technical Forum Army-2023 has started in Russia. The organizers promised to also show visitors NATO trophy equipment. This is far from the first exhibition dedicated to the pride of the so-called armament in the Federation. However, the Kremlin has now ceded primacy in this area to France. Channel France 24 notes Russia's military actions in Ukraine have had a negative impact on global sales of Russian weapons.
Between 2018 and 2022, France's share of the global arms trade increased to 11% compared to 7.1% over the previous four-year period, according to the annual Stockholm International Peace Research Institute report published in March. In the same period, the Russian share of the international arms trade declined from 22% to 16%. From the publication in The Voice of America.
Following the Russian military-industrial complex, the place of the Russian army in the global ranking has also changed. According to Lithuanian Defense Minister Arvydas Anušauskas, the second place became at least the 10th place. And for the Western countries, the low combat effectiveness of the Russian army became a real shock.
We were really surprised by such low combat capability of different branches of the armed forces. Yes, Russia has a large military. They can advance by the thousands on the eastern front in Ukraine. But if we compare it with NATO armed forces, it is no longer the second army of the world, but somewhere at the end of the top 10, if you look globally.
The production of Russia's latest weapons is largely dependent on imported components. Due to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the quantity and quality of manufactured products have been significantly reduced by the sanctions pressure of Ukraine's key allies, the United States, the United Kingdom and the European Union. Therefore, old stocks are being used. Almost half of Soviet armored vehicles have been removed from storage at Russia's largest mothballed military equipment base since the beginning of the full-scale war. For example, the Moscow Times reports that 40% of the existing Soviet tanks and combat vehicles have been decommissioned from the Vakzhanovo base in Buryatia.
We can say that the Russian military is more and more shifting to reverse options, to the use of old Soviet equipment. Russia has a closed cycle of production and restoration of equipment. Before the start of large-scale aggression, Russia could produce up to 30 tanks a month at Ural Vagon Zavod alone. And after the start of the invasion of Ukraine, 20 tanks.
Ukraine's military potential is more modern than Russia's, but more weapons are needed, says Polish President Andrzej Duda.
Today, Ukrainians are fighting against Russia in defense of their independence, sovereignty, freedom and their own territory. They are defending themselves. We are sending them arms. Why? Because we want to support them in defending their own territory. And by we, I don't just mean we Poles. It is we Americans, we French, we British, we Germans, we the entire democratic world. Andrzej Duda, President of Poland, in an interview with the Washington Post.
Experts are convinced that Russia is currently using all of its remaining reserves on the front line.
Now, not just the reserves are being brought in, but strategic reserves, beyond which there is simply nothing left. It is only necessary to declare mobilization. Russia is exhausting its ability to hold its defenses. Therefore, at some point, it will collapse.
The Russian Federation has the capability to produce ammunition, but the resources expended are finite. Therefore, the Russian authorities are looking for support from allied countries, such as North Korea and Iran. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Victoria Smirnova, UATV News.